Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Western Wisconsin Journal. I'm Kendra Grams, the pastor of First Presbyterian Church in Hudson, and back today to host a conversation with a local council person. So I'm happy to welcome Joyce Hall, who is the council person for the city of Hudson in District 6 and is running unopposed for re-election to continue representing that district in the April 1st election. So welcome, Joyce.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful to have you. So for those of you, those in the community who don't know you, let's just start with who is Joyce the person and what brought you into public service? What started you on the path on the city council?
So 10 years ago, well, a little more than 10 years ago, I was asked to run for council because at that time I had recently left my job at Chippewa Valley Technical College, and so I was unemployed and I didn't have any excuses. And, I had been thinking for a while that that it's really important that no matter who we have on the ballot, we need to have two names on the ballot for every position because the voters needed a choice. And so, but it didn't even occur to me until I was asked that, oh, maybe it's time to step up and run. So I did.
So you did, and that was 10 years ago, and
Yes.
You're still serving as the District 6 representative or councilperson. Can you just give us the rough boundaries for those that aren't familiar with the city council districts? Mm-hmm. Who are your constituents in your district?
So I have the northeastern part of the city, and so it includes the high school and the middle school. It also includes the cemetery. So I have north of Vine, I've got from 11th Street over to the eastern boundaries of the city and the northern boundaries of the city. And then south of Vine, I have got the cemetery and the neighborhood around that. I have got all of the condos on either side of Spruce Drive, and then a few homes over in the Stone Pine neighborhood as well.
Yeah, so a mix of residential, schools, cemetery services, great. And in your time on the council, from your District 6, what are some of the concerns that have bubbled up from your district, and how have you sought to address those?
Well, the biggest ones are maintaining the roads and the infrastructure in the city. The price of everything has gone up so much, and it's always been difficult because we have to bond in order to do this, but we knew we were behind on maintaining our roads. But then in addition, as the city is growing, then we need a larger police department. Then that means we need a larger building for the police department. We've been wanting to consolidate the public works department and make sure that they have everything right there instead of having to drive from one spot to another spot to get what they need. So it's really good that we're going to be consolidating them over on O'Neill and then putting the police department in a larger building as well. And then that means that the library can expand because the library it needs more space as well. And so anyway, those are things. But mostly it's when you talk about what has bubbled up from my particular district, it's little things like but that are really important. Mm-hmm. Things like traffic safety, a lot of requests for slowing down traffic, mm-hmm. getting people to actually stop at stop signs and stoplights. And just the other day, I had a call from a constituent because the people that were behind him, he was turning right onto Spruce Drive off of Vine, mm-hmm. and people were going around him in the left turn lane, and that is illegal. And so now we have to figure out how we can discourage that. So I had to send that to the Public Safety Committee, which I'm a member of, and we will be looking at different ways of trying to keep people from moving around.
I imagine there's a lot that goes into even just that strip of Vine that would be within your district. Yes. Between the high school and out to the just because my business is right along there.
Yes.
We see lots of high school students. We see lots of traffic in addition to the residential traffic. So a lot to attend to there. So you mentioned some of the wider things already in the city. For those that are unfamiliar with the consolidation of the public works, I know that's been a big topic. Can you share a little bit more about that and how you see that being a benefit for District 6 and the wider city in the years to come?
Well, a lot of this is really, what's in the best interest of the entire city. Because, and the other thing is, how can we make sure that our employees have the tools that they need in order to do their job, and then also the making sure that our pay structure is in line so that we can attract and retain good employees. That's important for the city. So having all of the public works under one roof will be a lot less confusing for the workers, and I think that it should be a lot more efficient for getting things out, because they're not going to be going, okay, which building is that in, and or did somebody leave that?
How many buildings are they spread out through currently?
Well, there's buildings on either side of 2nd Street up near Lake Malibu, and then there's the Buckeye Garage over in Lakefront Park, and then they've got 2 buildings on the old golf course, and I'm trying to think if there are any others. I can't think of any right offhand.
So quite a few.
Quite a few, yes.
Down to one.
Yes.
Hopefully that will be a great advantage for their work efficiency and just keeping track of things instead of trying to chase things around.
Right. Well, and then the other thing, so the police department is going to be moving. It turns out that the police department, the new building, will be more centrally located to cover the city. The current building is the library, and if you look at the a 2-mile radius around that building, North Hudson is
closer in some cases. Yeah.
And they have to get out of the downtown area in order to get up on the hill. So they'll be on the hill, and they'll be able to get to emergencies a lot faster that way.
That will be good, yes. So looking forward, what do you believe are the great challenges or opportunities facing the city in the next couple of years and beyond, and how are you hoping and planning to work with your colleagues to address those?
So maintaining the roads is really a big issue, and one of the things that I have suggested to our city administrator, for example, we need to, so the bridge over Carmichael and then the Hagan Street or 11th Street Bridge, it's called either one, they're both in need of repairs. And so I've suggested, River Falls has had some success hiring a lobbyist to work with the state legislature. And so I suggested that the city administrator look into that, find out who they used, what they paid for it, whether that might be a good way of getting the state to get these bridges higher up on their priority list. And then the city engineer and the public works director, they work together to set priorities as far as which roads are in the most need of maintenance. But there are some projects that really need some work. So for example, the street right behind the high school, Oak Street, that is in dire need of work. But because it needs to be redesigned, it's going to be really expensive, and so then that puts it lower on the priority list, because we have a lot more streets that are main thoroughfares. That's not a main thoroughfare. These other ones need maintenance first. So I have to be patient with some of that, and that's hard to do. But then the other part of it is you have to keep a balance between keeping our property tax increases to a minimum, and we are very careful about that. Our property taxes are high to start with. Why? It's because the state legislature keeps cutting their budget, and then what happens? It trickles down to the property taxes because people still want those services, and so we have to balance that with what's best for the city and making sure that we have things like that. Having all of the amenities that are really needed in order to have a fully functioning city.
Great. And would you say that in your time, you've been on the council 10 years, is that correct?
It'll be 10 years in April, yes.
Yeah, so what do you think have become, obviously roads have come up, but are there other issues that have kind of emerged as the important issues to ensure that the city continues to thrive in the next decade and beyond? What would you say those are?
Well, first of all, workforce housing is in high demand, and it's a shortage. The cost of, we can't bring down the cost of buying a house, but some of the things that I've been doing have been looking at how are other cities handling this and what are they doing. And then I've also gotten involved. Christy Smith, who is the director of Habitat for Humanity in this area, has put together a work group to try to find a way to smooth things out so that people whose incomes are less than 100,000 can afford houses, and having things so that everything's all lined up so that they can build. So if they can find the place to put the house, then a prefabricated home would be available, and so we'd have. So this group is trying to put together a plan so that they can choose from some different models of homes, maybe 2 or 3 3-bedroom homes with a garage, and then have a couple of different facades that they can choose from so that they all don't look alike. And then
not cookie cutter houses all in a row. Yeah.
And then have the financing part of it all set up, and then the builder ready to go too to put it together. So
sounds like a very collaborative approach.
And so and it's something that other municipalities are interested in and have been helping with that collaboration. So we have seen people from all the way out from Menominee coming in to be a part of the discussion too, and from Ellsworth.
And do you see the city council playing a role? If so, what in some of that continued work towards workforce housing?
It's hard to say.
Or what would your hopes be potentially for the city being part of that or leading that?
Well, I think that we're going to have to look at we're going to have to think outside the box in order to be able to bring this into Hudson, and I really am not sure exactly how we're going to be able to do that. But it is, for example, some municipalities, what they're doing is they're finding land, and we don't have any land that's available right now, but they are actually being owning the land and then having a long-term lease for the people that are using it so that they can bring down the price of the housing. But then when the house gets sold, then the land can be sold with it, and whoever buys the house would have to actually buy the land. So there are a lot of different things that are going on, and those are the kinds of things that I've been exploring.
Adaptive creative solutions.
Yes.
And speaking of land, the city boundaries, I talked to people who are 50 years ago and are amazed at how it's grown already.
Yes.
But what is your vision for the land print or the growth of Hudson? Obviously, you can't grow across the river, but what are your hopes? What would you say, and what do you hope to see in terms of the growth of the city?
Very careful development. One of the things that the community development director is careful about is making sure that when any development that comes in has to pay for its the infrastructure. Excuse me.
Bless you.
The infrastructure to support it, and so it has to generate enough property taxes to be able to pay for its portion of the services and be able to pay for like maintenance of the roads around it. And because if you've got single-family homes, and the larger the lot size, the more street there is per
Yeah.
per lot. The property taxes do not cover the cost of maintaining the roads when the road has to be redone, reconstructed. So that's why if you look at any of the recent developments that we've had in Hudson, first of all, you do have some single-family homes, but then you've also got some townhouses and possibly some apartment buildings, and then possibly some commercial buildings. So if you look at Bella Rose on the corner of Vine and Carmichael, there you've got all of those, because it's the more dense properties that actually pay more in property taxes to help offset the increase in the needs for that for taxes to pay for the services for that development.
So lots of factors to consider.
Lots to consider.
Well, so thinking.
Oh, so okay. So anyway, yes. I'm sorry. So your question though was about development and what my
And growth. What are you
growth.
hoping to see?
Yes.
Keeping all that in mind.
So annexation, of course, and then but we don't want to annex. Well, first of all, the people that are on larger properties, they aren't going to want to annex to the city anyway, because they would have to pay for the cost of having water and sewer brought out to their property, but also and then they would be paying city property taxes, which are higher than the township property taxes. So we have to work around those areas and look for places where we can put in development. So our industrial park is filled up. We need a new industrial park as well. So there's a lot of this. So that's what I mean by careful growth, is making sure that we get the types of growth that are going to contribute to the property tax value, so that we have enough money in our budget to be able to fund the infrastructure that we need.
Great. So that maybe leads into my next question of how do you see the city working with surrounding municipalities, other levels of government, or even just local businesses? What are your hopes for the city and the city council specifically as a council person to continue seeking partnerships or working together where we need to have those kind of broader regional or collaborative efforts?
Well, first of all, I think that we need input from all of the stakeholders, and so the businesses, they've been telling us we need that workforce housing, because we need people to we need to be able to hire people, and they don't want to commute. And so listening to all of those stakeholders and the surrounding community to make sure that we aren't, we need to be good neighbors to everybody. And so, yes, we do have to work collaboratively. But, I wonder what the communities surrounding us are thinking, okay, there goes another, they're annexing another property. Our boundaries are shrinking again. But a lot of these developments, they need the water and sewer services, for example, from the city. So they have to annex if they want to be able to do the type of development that they've got planned.
Got it. Well, let's maybe end on a high note. What do you believe are Hudson's greatest assets or gifts, and how do you hope that those can be used or accessed or brought together to continue building a stronger community and a stronger city?
Well, first of all, the heart of the people is really the biggest strength. And I just remember being on Facebook during COVID, and whenever somebody had a need, I mean, a lot of people, they lost their jobs. They didn't have food in the house. And they would put out a plea saying, can somebody just get me some groceries? And there would be several offers right away, and people would deliver. So,
It's a nice perk.
and when we had those high winds come through that wrecked the library, what happened? We had everybody getting out to help clear the trees that had come down, and then people were offering. If anybody doesn't have electricity and needs a shower or anything, or just wants to use my oven, there were those offers. So, we have a community that really cares about others, and that is so important. But the other things that I think are really important to preserve is, first of all, the St. Croix River. We need to protect that river to keep it as clean as possible, and to protect the views of it. But also continue to use it. The assets that we've got, we've got great festivals. The concerts in the park are so much fun. I took my granddaughter to several of them this summer, and she just had a blast. She loves to dance, and so she got up there and danced. She's 6 years old, and she thought that was great. And so those are the kinds of things that really make this a great community, and I'd like to preserve them. My tagline for my campaigns has always been, "Let's keep Hudson a wonderful place where families and businesses can grow," and I still stand behind that one.
Well, that might be a great place to wrap up. Any other final comments to share with either your constituents or the wider community?
Well, I appreciate the honor of serving for the last 10 years, and I look forward to serving for another 2 years, and I ask for everybody's vote. I can't take that for granted ever, and I do appreciate the confidence that people have in me to serve their needs, and I enjoy doing it. So thank you for asking me the questions.
Yeah, well, thank you for your service. We need lots of dedicated public servants, as you've already mentioned, and I appreciate the conversation. So it's good to be with you. Okay. Yeah. And as we wrap up, thank you also to the River Channel as ever for hosting us and many important conversations for our community. Thank you to all of you as viewers for making time to listen. And just as a reminder to all, whether you live in District 6 or not, that the spring election is Tuesday, April 1st. There's statewide races as well as local elections. So you can go to myvote.wisconsin.gov to get all the information about registering to vote, absentee ballots, what's on your ballot, and what is your polling place. So we hope you'll all make a voting plan as we seek to build a strong community together, and do so by making our voices heard. And until we're together again, may peace and wholeness be with you all.